and discuss who would take on dear old Mum if she flipped out totally, and what to do with that monstrous old pile of a house on McCall's Point and the Maine house that, though not old by Maine cottage standards, was sinking deeper into the piney earth and leaf mold every year. And, of course, about Silas. "Don't you even think the word euthanasia!" I yelled at the door that had slammed behind them. And then I began to laugh, maniacally, until my breath stopped and the laughing slid over into sobbing. It was what I had been doing ever since Cam died, although mercifully in no one's presence except for Silas. Once or twice he got up from his fetid sweater and trundled over and gave my face a usually peremptory lap, reeking rankly of kitty-ration seafood dinner, the only kind of food he will eat. But usually he just sat there regarding me as I laughed and wept and finally slept. "Seems like as good a way as any," he said in Silese. I think I made the decision to drive up to Edgewater, the Maine cottage my family had owned since before I was born, after one of these middle-of-the-night explosions. These last few days I had been muffling them with my pillow because Betsy had come back with her 2 children to stay for a little while and help cheer Gammy up, which I think consisted of lurking silently around corners and outside my bedroom door to see if a stray whimper, sob, or howl could be heard. That and the children chasing Silas until he turned at bay and bit one of them soundly. After the ensuing hysterics and the trips to the doctor over in Reston, and the mutterings about, "That monster is not safe," my way seemed clear as cool water. The next morning at breakfast, I told Betsy that I was going up to Edgewater for the summer to see to some things up there and get my bearings, and would be home in the early fall, and there were to be no uninvited guests. I could have recited beforehand what she said. "Who'll look after you? You can't just isolate yourself way up there in those woods and not see anybody. What if you fell or something? How would anybody know?" For that read, "What if you set fire to the place? You could burn it and you to a crisp, and then we couldn't even sell it. You know Daddy said he never wanted you to be up there by yourself." Betsy was not a selfish child or even a thoughtless one. She adored Cam and had not yet learned that there are many, many ways to hurt and grieve, although few to mitigate either. "Well, I won't be by myself, will I?" I said mildly. "Daddy will sure as shootin' be with me every minute of the day. You know that is where he wanted his ashes to be spread, and we'll do that at the end of the summer, and everybody can come up then. Meanwhile, I'll have him closer to me than I did lots of times before." "That's sick," Betsy wailed. But when she saw that she was only annoying me, she packed her clothes and her children and left for New York in a well-bred huff. "I'll have to make it up to her sometime," I said to Silas. "Murph, let her work it out." And so in a couple of days I had loaded the car and given the keys to Deanne, our heartbroken housekeeper, and to Kitty, and now here I was, almost within sight of the turnoff into the dense spruce and pine and ash woods that blanket this stretch of coast, about to turn left onto the dusty, unpaved lane that led deep into them and down a steep small hill. Here I was, about 5 minutes from the moment I could stand beside the old green house in its clearing in the forest, the lawn trimmed neatly by Toby or Laurie, and look down from the top of the piled stone seawall and watch the bay playing about the rocks, creaming and swelling and falling, glittering far to the west where the afternoon sun was lowering. I would smell the clean, fishy, kelpy, sun-on-dried rock smell, and I would hear the sea breathe. On the outer shores of Maine, the sea howls and roars and smashes itself on its cliffs. It booms and shouts and sings, but our bay is protected by the bulk of Little Deer Isle and Deer Isle, and below on the rocks of Edgewater it breathes. In and out, sighing, hushing, soothing. Soon I knew my own breathing would fall into its rhythm.